Hello everyone, today is 22nd of July. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. Friends, in today's video, we will be taking up the entire newspaper analysis of the Hindu newspaper. Friends, into the explained section, much of the important articles are not there. The politics of snooping, Pegasus has been mentioned. Guys, already in last 2-3 days, enough of the issues with respect to the Pegasus has been mentioned. Moreover, here guys, nothing much important with respect to the UPSC is there. Even guys, into the Mint newspaper, there are much of the evolving matters with respect to the investment, etc. Not very much important things. Now, taking up the overview of the entire Hindu. So guys, this is the page number 1, and here we can see that the political issues, etc. has been there. Not very much important for the examination. But guys, here we can see that the Lancet health report has been there, which had measured the impact of pandemic onto the children. We will see it. Then guys, moving to the next page, here we are onto the city page. Into the city page, nothing much important with respect to the examination is there. Much of the regional news is there. You can clearly avoid it. Then guys, moving on, here we can see that the direction of the Guwahati High Court has been mentioned on one of the decision of the Arunachal Pradesh government. It is violative of fundamental right. We'll see this thing. Then guys, moving forward, nothing much important. Now we reach to the editorial section. Guys, this particular editorial talks that why India needs to engage with the Taliban 2.0, why we were not engaging earlier. So some key takeaways are there. We will see this thing. Then guys, this article talks that India should not underplay the COVID, etc. Nothing very much important. This article is talking about the Mumbai, every year there comes the flooding, etc. Government is not developing proper infrastructure. Very much important things are not there. Then guys, this particular article talks that now government needs to work on to the COVID-19 package onto health, etc. Then moving on to the next page, guys, this article talks that how men cannot, basically the idea talks that why we see that a kind of a paradox is existing in the society. So some key idea is there. We will see that what is there. Then guys, the prosecutor, not persecutor, here the ethical responsibilities of a public prosecutors have been talked about. We will see this thing. Then guys, this article talks about the OPEC. We will see what has been there. Then guys, coming on to this page, here we can see that India had signed the packages, the agreements onto the drug menace with respect to GS3. We'll see what is there. Then guys, here we can see that the lightweight anti-tank missile has been launched by the DRDO. It is actually tested. We'll see what is this. Then guys, other articles not very much important. Then moving on, guys, here we can see that intelligence agencies need to be brought into a legislative framework. So some good suggestions has been there. We will see this thing. Then guys, moving into the next page, here we can see that much evolving details and the political matters, etc. has been there. Not very much important. Then guys, the showcase page, not important for examination. Then guys, onto the world page also, there are the kind of issues that, for example, here you can see UK want the renegotiation of the Brexit deal because of the Northern Ireland. It believes that for North Ireland, some other kind of provisions, relaxations needed to be given. Then guys, onto the business page, here we can see that the issues with respect to the corporate sector, etc. has been there. Nothing very much important. Guys, this particular article talks about some of the technical changes that had happened. Then guys, moving on, this is the sports page. However, nothing important is there onto this particular page. So guys, this is all the overview of the Hindu newspaper, and now let's take the newspaper articles in detail. Now guys, before starting, first of all, taking up the quote for the today's GS paper. So today we will be taking the quote from the Mother Teresa, the Nobel Prize laureate for the peace. She says, it's not about how much you do, but how much love you put into what you do that counts. Now guys, this particular idea points to an important value, the value of love, compassion and empathy. It has been provided that the civil servants, they are the torch bearers into the society, and just not performing the duties that have been envisaged by the constitution will be enough. Rather, putting the love, putting the empathy, putting the compassion towards the people into their action is also very much needed. So this particular lesson we can take from the Mother Teresa, and guys, this particular understanding we can utilize into the GS paper number 4, ethics, integrity and aptitude, into the topics related to the lessons and learnings from the lives of great teachers, reformers. So that is all about the GS quote for today, and now let's take the newspaper analysis one by one. Now friends, taking up the first article. So this particular article has been taken up from the Hindu newspaper, the page number 1. Guys, into our GS paper number 2, there is a particular section that is the vulnerable sections of the society. And into the vulnerable section of society, many of the sections such as the children, the transgender community, the elderly people, the women into the crisis situation, they could be there. Now, as the pandemic is going on, guys, there might be a possibility into the mains examination or into your interview, it could be asked that what have been the impact of the pandemic onto the different sections, and into that there are the children's also. Now guys, what has happened here with respect to the impact of the pandemic onto the children, a study has been published by the Lancet. Now guys, Lancet is one of the most reputed health journal, and the Lancet has provided that world over more than 11 lakh people, 11 lakh children, 11.34 lakh children got severely impacted by the COVID-19. They had lost their primary caregivers, either one of the parent or both of the parent, or if they were into the custody of their grandparents, they have lost their grandparents. So the primary caregivers have been gone, and now these children are even more vulnerable towards the different elements into the society. They might not be getting the proper education, their proper nutrition. They are more prone to the abuse, the sexual abuse, the physical abuse, and all such kind of problems are there. Now guys, with respect to the India, the Lancet Health Journal has provided that India is the third most impacted country in terms of children. Now it has been provided that in India, nearly 1.1 lakh children, they had lost their primary care givers. Into this capacity, these children are very much vulnerable. Now guys, on to the first number, there is Mexico. After the Mexico, there is Brazil, and on to the third number, we have the India. Now guys, you don't need to go too much into the nitty-gritties of this particular study, that what was the baseline, what was the methodology, because that is not entirely usable for the UPSC. Now guys, as this particular thing has happened, you can quote the impact by the help of this particular report. Apart from that, there are some other data also which we can take. Now guys, the other data could be like this, that according to the Azim Premji Foundation, it has been provided that 92% of the children, they had regressed in one of a particular language ability, and 82% of the children, they have regressed into the skills related to the mathematics, arithmetic. Now, this particular thing, number one, is very much problematic because for the children's own foundational abilities, but guys, at the same time, India aspires to be enjoying a demographic sweet spot. We aspires to be a demographic capital of the world into the times to come, and into that capacity, if our children will not be properly skilled, if they will be not be having properly developed cognitive abilities, then India cannot reap the economic advantages of this demographic dividend. Then guys, the next of the impact we can see is that the Madhya Pradesh government's Rajya Shiksha Kendra, it has provided that of the 80 lakh government school students up to the class number 8, only 30.9% could access the material over the WhatsApp, just 25% could get the access of material by TV, and just 12% got the access by the radio. So guys, even if we combine all these media sources, then also guys, severe number of children had left behind in getting the education during the times of pandemic. Then guys, there is the finding from the UNICEF also. According to the UNICEF, it has been provided nearly 60% of the government school students, they did not get any remote learning material. And even the 40% of the parents, they had struggled to pay for the internet recharge. So into this capacity, the dropouts will also be going down, and clearly the education has not been provided. So guys, these are the impacts onto the children. You can use all these references into your answers. Now into this capacity guys, there is also one of the aspect that comes at what government has done. Into this capacity guys, already we have taken up 2 articles into the earlier newspaper analysis. I am sure that if you are following regularly, you have seen that, but still, to conclude, again we will see that what were the major findings here. So guys, the steps taken by the government, number one is that the Ministry of Women and Child Development, it has provided that the children who are in distress, they will be provided essential care as well as protection under the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015. Guys, when we talk about the Juvenile Justice Act of 2015, it specifically provides for the different kind of safety measures. There are the non-institutional care as well as institutional care of the children who are into the conflict with law, who are into the crisis. So by the Ministry of Women and Child Development is making that their well-being is guarded through the Juvenile Justice Act. Then the next thing is also that guys, that what has happened, the center has also provided for a comprehensive fiscal aid package. Into this comprehensive fiscal aid package, it has been provided that students, they could be enrolled into the Kendriya Vidyalaya or even into the private schools, so that their studies are not impacted because the primary care givers, they have died. Then guys, it has also been provided that the health insurance up to 5 lakh rupees will be provided. A corpus of 10 lakh rupees will be kept into the name of these children, and this 10 lakh rupees corpus they can get when they attain the age of 23 years, and after the attaining age of 18 years they can get a stipend, monthly stipend from that 10 lakh rupees corpus which was created. Then guys, they can also be enrolled into the Sainik schools, Navodaya Vidyalayas, etc. So these are some of the steps that has been taken up for the children's well-being by the state, and you can put them as the steps into your answers. So that is all about this particular article, guys. I hope that if any question onto the impact of children now will be coming, you will be able to handle it with grace. So that is all, and now let's move to the next article. Now friends, this article taken from the Hindu newspaper, and guys, here we can see the recent decision that was taken by the Arunachal Pradesh government, where it has banned the entry of the people into the state who have not been vaccinated by the COVID-19 vaccine. Now guys, it has been provided that the petition was sent into the High Court that this particular action taken by the state government is violative of the fundamental rights that have been given to the citizens. Into this capacity, guys, now what has happened, the Guwahati High Court had given its ruling, and it had said that Arunachal Pradesh government's notification where the temporary entry permits were basically where a temporary ban onto the entry permits was imposed, it is wrong. It has been provided that to classify the people into vaccinated and unvaccinated groups is violative of the article number 14, article number 19, subclause 1, subclause 2, as well as the article number 21 of the Indian Constitution. It has been provided that even this particular classification is not intelligent, because guys, the intelligent classification is based on to the research finding fact. It has been provided by the court that there is no study, there is no evidence which points that the people who have been vaccinated, they cannot get infected with the COVID-19, and even there is no kind of evidence that these people cannot spread if they got infected to the other people. So if they cannot, if it is not sure that they will not be the spreaders, then what is the rationale of restricting the entry of the people? Fine. So it has been provided that such kind of decision by the Arunachal Pradesh government is unconstitutional, and it has been struck down. Further guys, it has also, when we talk about the Arunachal Pradesh, to visit the Arunachal Pradesh, you need the inner line permit system. Now guys, the inner line permit system could be availed by the tourist or could be availed by the people who are visiting the Arunachal Pradesh for the business purpose and all such kind of things. It has been provided that still the ILP will be needed to be availed if anybody is going to the Arunachal Pradesh, but denying the ILP onto the basis that it has not been vaccinated cannot be taken up, because then it will be violative of the article 14, 19 and 21, because both can be the super spreaders. Fine. So this is the decision that has been taken up. Now guys, all these particular kind of things might not be directly be asked into the UPSC, but guys, these kind of references, if you put into your answers, it actually gives more credence to your answers, and into the process you give your probability of getting higher marks increases. So please do utilize it as a kind of a reference that how judiciary is upholding the rights of the citizens into the times of pandemic, and if a question is there on the fundamental rights, there you can give the reference. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this article taken up from the editorial section of the Hindu newspaper. It is talking that the prosecutor and not the persecutor. Fine. So guys, here the role of the prosecutors, the public prosecutors, have been talked that how it is an important role and what due diligence, what due modalities needed to be there into the mind of the public prosecutors before they are performing their duties. Now guys, before going into this particular news, first of all, let's take the very basic things. What is this public prosecutor? Now guys, see, there is a state. Okay, now suppose there is one particular person, and this particular person had committed this particular kind of act, and this particular act might be going against the security of the state, the integrity of a state. So there might be some legislation under which this particular person will be charged, and when this particular person will be charged under a legislation, obviously he will be presented before a court to give him a fair trial. Now guys, who will fight from the side of a state that yes, this particular person had did some kind of crime? So who will be helping the court to ascertain the facts? obviously there needs to be a kind of an officer. So there will be the public prosecutor. So public prosecutor is a kind of an agent or is a kind of a representative of a state who pleads into the court, and basically it presents the case in front of judiciary from the side of a state. So basically the public prosecutor intends to uphold the rule or basically laws into the society. Is it clear? Now guys, putting this particular example and again under the perspective, see there is the UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Now under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, let's take the example that now late Father Stan Swami, he was arrested. So when he was arrested, okay, first one prosecutor will be from the side of Father Stan Swami, other prosecutor will be from the behalf of the state. So basically this particular matter will be debated there, this particular matter will be pled into the court. Now it has been said that when we talk about the public prosecutors, they have been provided into the section number 24 of the CRPC. Okay, now it has been provided that the public prosecutor actually holds a very influential role at the every stage of a trial, because the public prosecutor will plead in front of a court that whether what offenses a person should be charged with, whether there needs to be a pre-trial custody of a person that is to be taken up, and what sentence needs to be given to a person. So with respect to the people, the public prosecutor is holding a very important role, that what treatment they will get, what will be their sentence, what will be their treatment, and all such kind of things. Into this particular capacity, guys, it has been said that these public prosecutors, unlike the defense counsels, they have a kind of an ethical obligation also. Ethical obligation is that, guys, they are actually pleading for the well-being of the entire state, and into the well-being of entire state, even the person who has been accused of certain crime, his well-being is also there. So the public prosecutors needs to have an ethical obligation. They need to seek justice by balancing the interest of the victims of the crime society as well as those accused of crime. So a very special role has been there. Moreover, guys, into this particular capacity, the Supreme Court has also provided that into a particular case, that is the Shio Nandan Paswan versus State of Bihar, it has said that the public prosecutors, though they have a duty to represent the executives, though they have a duty that they should win the case onto the behalf of executive, but at the same time it has been provided that they need not to be extremely concerned just about the outcome of the case. They should not be fixated that the case has to be won. They need to keep into the mind that they are also obliged to ensure that the accused person is not being unfairly treated. So this particular ethical obligation is there, recognized by the Supreme Court. Moreover, guys, the High Court of Delhi also into one of the case, that is the Jitendra Kumar versus State, warned that the performance of his duty, he can prosecute the accused, but he cannot assume the role of a persecutor. The persecutor is one whose only motto is to give a harm to the other person. So he needs to be the prosecutor, not the persecutor. No, guys, their role becomes very much important into the legislations like the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, because here the prosecutors are charging the accused person, but here these prosecutors need to have a rationality, they need to have a respect for the rule of law, they need to keep their ethics into the mind, because over the years we have been seen that so many of the people have been charged under the UAPA, but the conviction rate has been very much less, just approximately 3%. Now 97% of the people, they had not been convicted, but into the process, guys, they were kept under the trials, they were basically tortured, their bails were denied, but into all the majority of these capacities, the public prosecutors, they remained silent. So guys, in such kind of capacities, they need to play a kind of a very critical role. Moreover, when we talk about the public prosecutors, they also play an important role into the narrative building. Fine. Now, when you are charged about a particular offense, you might be branded anti-national. Under other offenses, you might not be shown into such a bad light. So the narrative that a society will be holding against a person, it is also shaped by the public prosecutors. So they should not involve into such kind of way that they are over scandalizing the matters, they are completely giving their verdict even when the judiciary has not given the verdict. So all these kind of things are needed to be kept into the mind by the public prosecutors. So guys, that is all into this particular direction. Fine, I hope you have understood it, guys. It will be very much important for our GS paper number 2. So that is all, and now we'll be taking up the next article. Now guys, this article, it is talking that why India should engage directly with the Taliban 2.0. And here guys, some of the findings could be important for the GS paper number 2. If your optional is the PSIR, there also it will be very much important. And guys, into some of the essays and related opinions, such kind of things will be important. See, before going into this particular article, we will be taking up some of the background. See guys, number one equation is this, that when we talk about the India's foreign policy or India's engagement with the organizations such as Taliban has been very much limited. Guys, with the terrorist organizations, number one, we don't negotiate. Now the Taliban, it is not entirely a terrorist organization, it is lying into a gray area. Some of the countries, even the USA, had recognized the Taliban as a stakeholder into the Afghan peace process. So completely it cannot be condemned also. So Taliban is into a gray area where they have committed the violence in some instances, but in some instances they have been taken as a stakeholders also into the Afghanistan process. So guys, with the Taliban, our strategy is not very much clear. Sometimes we say that we will not negotiate with the Taliban, but some other times we say that okay, we can consider talking with the Taliban. Nowadays guys, indirect hints are being given by the India that okay, we might talk with the Taliban, but in all the circumstances we are not coming openly that okay, we will talk with the Taliban. Number two guys, right now the security situation into the Afghanistan is very much critical because the US had exited from the Afghanistan, and here now the Taliban is taking the control of the Afghanistan. Now already we have seen that into the 1996 the Taliban captured the Afghanistan. At that point of time, Taliban was very much brutal in its treatment of the Afghanistan. Now the Taliban 2.0 is taking over the Afghanistan, and nearly 1/3 of the provinces of Afghanistan they have taken up. Into this capacity guys, there is India's involvement, which becomes very much critical, because if Taliban takes too much control in Afghanistan, the implications of the spillover effect will be coming into the India. Now guys, what needs to be the Indian strategy? Indian strategy, here the article suggests that is, we should directly engage with the Taliban and we should not be going with this back channel talks and avoiding and all such kind of things. Now first of all guys, here the arguments have been provided that why traditionally India has avoided the talks with the Taliban. So first of all, let's see these arguments. First of all, it has been provided that if directly we choose to engage with the Taliban, then guys, there might be a problem that our relations with the Afghanistan President Ashraf Ghani, it might go down. Because guys, basically the Taliban and the government of Afghanistan, particularly the President Ashraf Ghani, they are standing at the loggerheads. And if we take basically if we talk with the Taliban, then guys, it will be seen that India is going more into the camp of Taliban, and then the antagonization with the Afghan government will be there. So we avoid it. And guys, if the antagonization of the Afghan government is there, then guys, the Afghanistan can go more closer to the Pakistan, to the China. It can ask more of a support from the Shanghai Cooperation Organization for their national security, and there the India's interest might be undermined. So we don't talk directly here. Then guys, the second reason that comes here is that, see, even if we wanted to engage with the Taliban, there is a dilemma that within the Taliban with whom we need to engage, because guys, it is not now the entire monolithic organization, but there are many of the different factions that have been there into the Taliban. There are the negotiators who have negotiated the Doha deal, then there are the fighters onto the ground, then there are the basically separate leaders within the Taliban group. So who needs to be recognized and with whom we need to talk, there is also kind of a dilemma. Then guys, the third problem that we don't need to talk with the Taliban is that, see, the Taliban 1.0 that ruled in 1996, now we don't know that the Taliban 2.0 is different from that. Okay, and if it is not a different, if it is even more brutal than the 1996 versions, and guys, then into the long term the moral responsibility will come onto the India that you talked with the Taliban at that point of time, and now see what Taliban is doing. So we don't know whether it has changed or not. So, and secondly guys, there is also the problem that we even don't know that what is the real intentions of the Taliban right now. So when we will not be knowing their intentions, we cannot decode that what is to be given, what is to be taken up. Then further guys, finally it has been provided that we don't talk with the Taliban because it might antagonize the Pakistan. Because guys, the Pakistan and Taliban, they have a particular kind of a special type of relation, and if we go near to the Taliban, Pakistan might ramp up its insurgency into the Jammu and Kashmir to basically further to take a kind of to vent out the frustration against the India. So this particular issue might be there. So therefore we don't negotiate or talk or directly engage with the Taliban. But now guys, the argument has come that we should talk. And into this capacity also some of the logical arguments have been given. So now we will see them. First of all, it has been provided that guys, whether we like it or not, we appreciate it or not, but Taliban is going to be another stakeholder, an important stakeholder into the Afghanistan. In 1996, many of the countries, they have not recognized the Taliban, but now the situation has completely been changed. And now, due to at the world level, the recognition that has been given to the Taliban, India, if it is on to the sideline, then guys, it will not be into the best interest of the India. Fine, so there are the number of players who had recognized the Taliban. We should also take some kind of a leap here. Then guys, it has also been provided that when we talk about the Taliban, Taliban is looking for the regional and global partners to achieve the kind of a recognition. And into this particular capacity guys, what had happened, into the neighborhood also Taliban needs a support. Now if India is not engaging with the Taliban, Taliban will go more closer to the Pakistan, and then guys, Taliban Pakistan nexus will grow even more stronger. So for that also we needed to engage with the Taliban. Then guys, thirdly, it has been provided that now we cannot think just that Taliban will just be a kind of a civil or just it will be subservient to the Pakistan. Now the Taliban has its own intention. Guys, into the times to come, Taliban can even question the Durand line which separates the Pakistan and Afghanistan. So guys, the Taliban is becoming a kind of a for fear for the Pakistan into the times to come. And here if we leverage the Taliban very carefully, we can contain even the Pakistan. So to contain the Pakistan, Taliban could be leveraged here. This has been provided. So therefore India again needs to engage with the Taliban. Then guys, it has been provided that, see, if we talk about the Afghanistan, right now there are much of the stakes into the Afghanistan. We have invested more than $3 billion into Afghanistan. Guys, if you remember, few days back even we have discussed one article from the Indian Express explained section where we have seen that precisely what are the investment of India in Afghanistan. So Salma Dam has been developed, the basically Zaranj Deleram Road has been developed, Parliament building, hydropower projects, schools, community development projects have been taken. Now, why India developed it? Okay, see, we are exiting from Afghanistan. Our basically consulates into the Jalalabad, Herat, we have shut down. Now, if we will not engage with the Taliban, all those assets will go into the waste. So therefore, government needs to talk. And then guys, finally it has been provided that if India will be absent, that the regional powers Russia, Iran, Pakistan and China, fine, they will get much of a leg room here. They will take the early advantage of talking with the Taliban and India will be left aside. So considering all these particular aspects, India needs to negotiate with the Taliban. So guys, why we are not negotiating and why we should, both have been covered here. So all this particular aspect needs to be into your mind. So that is all about this particular article guys. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article, it is talking about the compromise and uncertainty. It is basically talking about the OPEC deal that has happened, and because of that OPEC deal, now we might see that the global crude oil prices that were going up, they might come down. Now guys, first of all, when we talk about the problem that was going into the OPEC plus, it was this, that into the aftermath of COVID-19 pandemic, there was the lockdown. The countries, they started to demand less and less oil because the lockdown was there. And as these OPEC countries were producing at the traditional levels, what happened? The supply stayed the same, demand came down, so price mismatch was there, and in 2020 we saw that the crude oil prices, they went very much down. Into that capacity guys, in 2020 the OPEC countries, they signed a deal that we will also cut our supply so that we can meet the low demand and the price mismatch is not there. Now guys, we are in 2021. The economy is recovering back, the vaccination is on to the progress, countries are opening up. So guys, now again the demand has increased but the supply is at the lower level. So because of this mismatch, again now the supply is low, the demand is high, the prices of the global crude oil has went up. So into the OPEC, this was to be resolved, that now we also need to increase our production. But into that capacity, the Saudi Arabia and the UAE, they developed some of the differences. Now these differences have been resolved. Now guys, all this particular thing has been provided here, but entirely this particular article already we had covered onto the 15th of July newspaper analysis into the timestamp, that is the 1507. So apart from this, even if though this has covered all the issues related to the OPEC, but still if you need more clarity, then guys you can refer to the 15th of July newspaper analysis. There we have very covered into a very beautiful way. So just that is all about this particular article, nothing more important here. So if you have covered, you can you can even leave it. If you have understood, then also you can leave it, but if you want to go into the detail, just dwell here. So that is all, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article here, the article has been written by the GR Gopinath, and the article is more of a leisure reading. Here what has been done, the GR Gopinath, he had said that we are living into a kind of a strange world. See, what has happened recently, we have seen that the Zomato's IPO has been completed, and the valuation of Zomato, which has been there after this IPO, its valuation is 66,000 crore rupees. Now guys, Zomato, if you see, is not owning much of the infrastructure, is not owning the prime properties like the hotel chains Taj etc are holding, but still the Zomato's evaluation is so much. Is it clear? Guys, it has been provided that if we see the person who is giving the actual utility, his value is not there. But the people who had, or the companies or the organizations who had developed a kind of an artificial value, they are being respected, their valuations are being increased. Here the example has been given that, see, there is a farmer. The farmer toils the entire day. He basically, into the winters, into the summers, into the rain, he is doing so much of hard work into the field, but even the remunerative price is not being given to him. He has to dump many a times his produce because he was not even able to recover the transportation cost that he had paid for bringing the produce to the market. So the farmer is not being respected, but actually the startups that we see, they have been valued at so much of the level without even owning a substantial asset, substantial balance sheet profits and such kind of thing. So this is a very strange kind of world. Here guys, similar kind of comparison has been made. For example, it has been said that the Taj hotels, the Oberoi hotels, other 5-star hotels, they own the expensive real estate, but the valuation of the Zomato is much more than them. Guys, then guys, other examples have been given. It has been said that when we talk about there are actually the companies which are the real time producers. Fine, there are the Kraft Heinz, there is the Tyson Foods, there is a Danone, Nestle, Unilever, etc, but their valuation is very much little when we compare it with the Paytm, Zomato, etc. So therefore the times is very much strange, and actually what is the real worth, it is not being ascertained. Just that kind of message has been given. Apart from that, nothing substantial for the UPSC is there. So just a thought is there. So it is a kind of a very clearly a leisure read. If you want, you can read it, otherwise you can leave it completely, no problem. So that is all about this article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this article, it has been taken up from the Hindu, though the article has been basically, though business here, the views of the Manish Tiwari, a Congress leader, has been given, but with respect to the general studies, it is a kind of an important attachment. See, we have seen recently that a surveillance has been carried on to the people, and it has been revealed by the Pegasus project. In last couple of days, about the Pegasus project we have discussed substantially. Now it has been provided that there are the surveillance agencies into the India which has been created. These surveillance agencies actually are not mandated by the law. It has been provided that for any organization, legislative backing needs to be there, but here the legislative backing has not been there, and into this particular capacity guys, there comes a problem. Now why problem comes? So for this particular ground guys, we will move little bit beyond this particular article and we'll see it into a broader scope of scheme. See, there was the Puttaswamy case. Into the Puttaswamy case, it was said that the right to privacy has been given to all the citizens. Now it was said that okay, sometimes even the privacy might needed to be breached, the surveillance might needed to be carried, or such kind of issues could be there for the security of the nation, for preserving the integrity of a nation. Okay, so right to privacy can be diluted, but for that particular thing, the doctrine of proportionality was propounded by the Supreme Court into the Puttaswamy case. Now the doctrine of proportionality, it said that if you are taking up the privacy, then guys, by whatever mechanism you are taking up the privacy, that particular mechanism needs to be established by a law. It needs to be established by a statute. Then guys, there were the other grounds also, that okay, the privacy needs to be snatched as a last resort measure, cost to benefit ratio is to be taken up. However, we'll not go into the other grounds. So it needs to be established by the law, whatever mechanism is taking up the privacy. Now the surveillance agencies are taking up the privacy, but guys, the agencies which are carrying them, they have not been established by the law. It has been provided that in 2011, a private member bill was introduced into the Lok Sabha. The name of the bill was the Intelligence Services Power and Regulation Bill. It provided that the appropriate statutory basis needed to be given to all the intelligence agencies, but guys, that bill has not been passed. Even in 2019, the improved version of this particular bill was introduced, but guys, it has still not been taken up because it is a private member's bill. Even guys, into the November 2013, the Guwahati High Court has given a judgment in which it is even called the Central Bureau of Investigation as illegal because again, adequate legislative backing is not there. Into this particular capacity also guys, the matter has been sent to the Supreme Court, but nothing has happened. So here guys, now it has been provided that as we are a democracy and democracy works onto the principle of checks and balances, so therefore the parliament, it is a high time, needs to consider a kind of a legislative mechanisms under which the sanctity could be given to all the surveillance and intelligence agencies. That is to be done. Secondly guys, it has been provided that over the world countries, surveillance is a very important part of national security. It is done even into the US and such like countries, but there the parliament accountability is there. So guys, a kind of a committee is also needed to be constituted over these intelligence agencies which elicit their accountability, though the report might not be kept into the public domain for the sake of the national security, but accountability mechanism needs to be there. So these all things have been provided into this particular article. So guys, I hope that you have understood it. Now guys, the similar kind of arguments we have taken yesterday also into this capacity. So that is all about this article, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, this particular article here, it has been mentioned that India had signed 26 pacts to fight the drug menace. Now see guys, when we talk about the drug menace, it is a kind of a very problematic thing. Into GS paper number 3, the internal security, the terrorism and basically the trafficking, drug trafficking, etc. is a kind of an important part which could be asked. So first of all guys, when we talk about the drug trafficking, it is a particularly big problem for India, because if you see the India, then guys, India is sandwiched between the golden crescent on one hand and the golden triangle on one hand. When we talk about golden crescent, the Iran, Afghanistan and Pakistan convergence point is one where much of the opium and such kind of psychotropic substance are being grown. Now guys, there is a report that the basically psychotropic substances which are grown into this golden crescent onto the convergence of Iran, Pakistan and Afghanistan, they come to India, and from India it is supplied to the Europe, Gulf countries, etc., particularly to the Europe. Then it has been provided that there is a golden triangle. On to the other hand, Myanmar, Laos, Thailand and Vietnam. From here also, there are the psychotropic substances which are being produced here, and they are getting entry into the India. Because guys, around the northeast, much of the forest boundary is there. So guys, India had become a kind of a hub of trafficking of the psychotropic substance and such kind of drugs. So therefore, India needs to be very much vigilant. Now guys, here we can see that some of the initiatives that has been taken by the government to fight the drug menace, and guys, directly you can use them into your answers related to the GS paper number 3. It will enhance the authenticity of your answer. So here it has been provided that number 1, there is the Narcotics Control Bureau, which coordinates with the various international organizations to share information and intelligence to combat the transnational drug trafficking. So it is an institutional mechanism that has been there. You can use it. Then guys, it has been provided that this National Control Bureau, it has concluded many of the agreements, bilateral, multilateral agreements with the different organization countries, so that the intelligence sharing with respect to the drug abuse, etc. is there. So guys, it has concluded, we can see the SARC Drug Offense Monitoring Desk. Fine. Then there is a kind of an agreement that has been signed between Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. There is Colombo Plan. Then guys, there is Association of Southeast Asian Nation, ASEAN Senior Officials on Drug Matters, in which the coordination has been taken up. So guys, when we see, it has been provided that India has signed nearly 26 bilateral pacts, 15 memoranda of understanding and 2 agreement on security cooperation with the different countries for combating the illicit drug trafficking. So guys, this is one of the reference that you can give. Guys, within this, what the names or the country's name or the organization's name has been mentioned, you don't need to remember all. Then it has next provided that for the effective coordination to control the drug abuse in India, there are the different organizations, and to bring the better coordination also some of the steps has been taken up. Here it has been provided that for coordination among various central and state agencies, Narco Coordination Center NCORD has been established by the Ministry of Home Affairs in 2016. It will bring the better drug law enforcement. Then it has been provided that the N code, it has been restructured into a 4-tier scheme up till the district level, so that better enforcement could be there. And then guys, it has been provided that whenever the seizure of a drug is being done, many times it could be by police, sometimes it could be at the custom authority, sometimes it could be in some other establishment. So it has been provided that there has been the digitization of pan India drug seizure. The Ministry of Home Affairs, it has launched a portal, e-portal, which is called as SIMS, that is the Seizure Information Management System. So here all the drug law enforcement related agencies, they can put for the seizures that they have done. And this particular mechanism has been created under the Narcotic Drug and Psychotropic Substance Act, NDPS Act. Fine. So guys, the digitization has also been there. So these are all the steps that have been taken by the government. Fine. I hope that you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, here we can see that a lightweight anti-tank missile has been tested by the DRDO. Fine. So guys, just for the prelims examination, a kind of a brief, we will see that what has happened. So guys, what has happened, a new generation of the Akash missile has been tested. Now the Akash missile, they are the surface to air missile. Now it has been flight tested by the DRDO from an integrated test range facility which is into the Odisha's coast. Now guys, when we talk about this new generation of Akash, it has been called as NG Akash, and it is slightly better than the earlier version in terms of maneuverability, in terms of range, and in terms of course. So this is what has happened here. Now guys, if we talk about the Akash, it is one of the India's first indigenously developed medium range surface to air missile, and guys, it can engage into the multiple targets into the multiple direction. Then guys, further when we talk about the Akash, it has a speed of 2.5 times more than the speed of sound. You can also call it as 2.5 Mach is the speed on which it operates, and guys, it can destroy the targets flying at low, medium and high altitude. Further, when we talk about the Akash guys, Akash basically has been developed as a part of integrated guided missile development project, which is more than a 30-year-old project. And guys, under this integrated guided missile development project, the missiles like Nag, Agni, Trishul, Prithvi and the Akash were taken up. So Akash belongs to this IGDMP. Then further guys, it has been provided that the range of Akash, it is up to the 30 kilometers. Fine. So the range is 25 to 30 kilometers, not much more than that. Then there are the unique features of Akash also, that it can be launched from the mobile platforms like battle tanks, wheeled trucks, etc. So into this particular capacity, the adaptability of Akash is also very much good. And guys, it is reportedly more cheaper, it is more accurate than the US Patriot missiles, and in India, it is designed and developed by the DRDO. So this is all about the Akash. And then guys, it has been provided that apart from this Akash, there is also a portable anti-tank guided missile that has also been tested. So that is all about this particular article. I hope you have understood it, and now we'll be moving to the next article. Now guys, here we can see that what had happened, UNESCO had stripped one of our site from the list of World Heritage Sites. So there is actually the Liverpool city into the England, and the Liverpool city had enjoyed the status of a World Heritage Site, but now this particular status has been stripped. So guys, what has happened? The United Nations Cultural Agency had found that into the city of Liverpool, there are some of the new buildings which have been built, a football stadium which has been built, and it has reduced the attractiveness of the city. The city was very much it was very much admired for the Victorian looks that it was having, and now those Victorian looks have been reduced. So therefore, the city of Liverpool has been removed. Now guys, when we talk about this particular thing, earlier only 2 sites have been removed, and here we can see that one was a wildlife sanctuary into the Oman. It was removed in 2007 after it was observed that the poaching and habitat loss had happened here. Then guys, there is also The Dresden Elbe Valley into the Germany, it was removed in 2009 when a 4-line motor bridge was built over the river. So these are the two sites which have been removed, and now the Liverpool has also been removed. So this is the brief development here. For the prelims, you should need to keep such kind of things into your mind. So that is all guys for the today's newspaper articles. I hope that you are liking our initiative and the initiative is turning to be fruitful for you. So that is all for today. Thank you so much.